How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm just fine.
That's
So,
great.
did you want to go ahead and conduct the interview for the Center for Entrepreneurship, VSU Entrepreneurship today?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So, hello, my name is Bolaji Adebayo, and today I'll be interviewing you for our VSU Entrepreneurship YouTube page. We're still working on the name. Okay. So,
Sure.
my first question is tell us your name, the name of your business, and the title of your business, or your title with your business.
Sure. Well, my name is Dr. Patrice Perry Rivers, and I am the director and founding director of the VSU Center for Entrepreneurship. We started the VSU Center for Entrepreneurship in 2016 at the encouragement and direction of Dr. Emmanuel Omojokin. And really, our intent and my intent in particular was to try to increase the entrepreneurship rate amongst minorities by starting with spurring entrepreneurship amongst students while they're in college. One of the things that my own research shows is that, and this is just general research that shows that the entrepreneurship rate for African Americans in particular is significantly lower than every other racial group in the United States. And then that holds even as our education and our income increases. That's important because what would happen is that if more people who had college degrees pursued entrepreneurship, we'd have more entrepreneurship in our community, we'd have greater wealth in our community, and we'd even have more successful, scalable businesses. And so that's one of the main things that we started the center to do, to really plant that seed of entrepreneurship and the idea of pursuing your own business using the skill sets that you have uh, derived from your college degree or even your profession amongst college educated students primarily, but then also even our alumni who have run very successful entities for other organizations, and some have their own successful businesses. I just want to really spur entrepreneurship amongst minorities. Now, one of the ways that we do that is that we've created entrepreneurship educational programs. And so that's the
Mhm.
primary thing that we've done as the center. So we've got a minor in entrepreneurship that was officially approved in the spring of 2017 that has been gaining traction over the years. And we now have a multidisciplinary cohort of students from various majors across the university who are pursuing a minor in entrepreneurship. And that's exciting. And because what that means is that we can have psychology entrepreneurs, we can have education entrepreneurs, we can have music entrepreneurs, and we can have entrepreneurs that are housed in business. And I think that that's going to be really important in engineering, obviously, for the long-term wealth of minorities and African Americans in the U.S. in particular.
Yes, I love that answer. I believe having more entrepreneurs in the Black community could really enrich our community and just make it a better place for us and our future kids and making generational wealth. So I love that 110%. The next question I have for you is tell us about your company. What do you guys do? What kind of products do you offer? How long have you been operating? And like, where is your main operation set up?
Okay, sure. So the VSU Center for Entrepreneurship is part of the Reginald F. Lewis College of Business. We are a proudly AACSB accredited College of Business. AACSB accreditation is a very well-respected accreditation for business schools, and very few business schools all across the world have it. And what we do is we offer primarily free educational services in terms of basic information that we provide to the general public, and we have speaker events, and we also have free resources that we provide to entrepreneurs. One thing I'm going to do very quickly is just
Mhm.
share my screen with you so that you can see the center's website. Because on the center's website, and I think that this is something that a lot of people might not be familiar with. Let me get it up for you. Is that we have this great website that
Mhm.
has hundreds of tools that have been vetted by both myself initially and then our student interns over the last several years that provide guidance on everything from education and nonprofit general entrepreneurship resources to marketing resources for small businesses, business planning resources for small businesses, financial statement and financial planning resources for small businesses. We also have information on social media and other tools that small businesses can use, free website resources that they can access to build their website, links to where they can go to the SBA, and then also some other regional and local organizations that would support entrepreneurs in the Central Virginia and state of Virginia region. So, and even some very specific resources that are from minorities and those that are thinking about franchising or operating a family business. So we offer these resources for free, both to our students, alumni, and anyone who visits our site. We also have had speaker series during the regular academic year, particularly prior to the COVID pandemic. And so you starting with us this VSU Entrepreneurship Today interview with entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship support organizations is going to be really important for us to be able to continue to provide speakers that can inspire entrepreneurship amongst our target demographic, even during the COVID pandemic. In addition to us offering the speaker events and these free tools for entrepreneurs, then obviously we have the educational programs that I've talked to you about. I've got a really good security program that's monitoring our site. They just wanted to make sure that I wasn't trying to hack it. But what you see is we've got some good we've got a minor in entrepreneurship, which allows students to get 18 credit hours in training in entrepreneurship. Practical work in doing entrepreneurship is useful, like actually getting your hands dirty and creating a product and actually starting something is important. But if you don't plan effectively, then you will likely fail as an entrepreneur. The majority of new startups fail within their first year to 3 years of business. And so when you have a really good plan in place and really good training, like the training that we offer in our Introduction to Entrepreneurship course, and then in the rest of our minor courses, then I think that it increases the likelihood that the business is trained by our center and by the instructors and professors in our center are inclined to be successful and to have longevity. So we essentially offer educational programs. We offer free resources to the public. And then what we also do is we engage in entrepreneurship research. So I'm published in one of the top tier journals for entrepreneurship called Entrepreneurship Theory and Practice. And I work on other relevant research that's related to minority entrepreneurship and social responsibility. For businesses in general, and even on social entrepreneurship. And I think that kind of information can really further the field to expand our study and understanding of minority entrepreneurship and of social entrepreneurship, and really the intersection of how social problems and entrepreneurship can really spur solutions to positively change society. So we offer research, we offer educational programs, and we offer free resources to the public.
That is amazing. Like the way you help the community and the surrounding communities of the Virginia State campus, it's really helpful. So we appreciate you for that. So
Sure.
My next question is, what was the inspiration behind starting the company?
So one thing I also want to say is that, and this is a part of a piggyback onto the other question that you asked me, is that we also link individuals up with existing entrepreneurship support organizations that are already in the community and that are already doing really great things. We've had historically a really positive relationship with the Petersburg Chamber of Commerce, but these are some of the other organizations that we have worked with that have come and trained our students for free, come and spoken to our student entrepreneurs and to our alumni and other community entrepreneurs. RVA Works has done a lot of good things for us, BEST. And so I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned these organizations as well. The Chamber of Commerce for Colonial Heights has had our students to do some internships and to work with them in the past. And I know that Mr. Jonathan Young, who's our current Director of Industrial Relations, has many partnerships with other organizations that try their best to expose our students to networking and other entrepreneurship related opportunities that could spur them to pursue it.
Mm.
So really, the motivation for starting the center was twofold. Dr. Omajokin recognized the need in our society, and he recognized the role that I had played at another university in being the assistant director of their Center for Entrepreneurship. I did that at St. Francis College in New York City when I was working on my PhD at Rutgers. And so I taught there and helped them launch and operate their center. And when I came here, then I expressed an interest in it, and we had students who were interested in entrepreneurship. And so we decided that we'd start this center so that we could really begin to move the needle and try to increase entrepreneurship amongst minority communities in the Central and Eastern Virginia in particular. But we also help any minority or non-minority entrepreneur that would like to seek assistance from us. And veterans are also another group we'd like to aid, especially given the large military population that we have in both the Central and Eastern Virginia markets. I just want to call your attention very quickly to the mission for the Center for Entrepreneurship, and it is to provide high quality research, entrepreneurship, education, and services that spur innovation and small business opportunity among diverse groups. And that again includes minority and non-minority. But we do have a specific emphasis on assisting the Central and Eastern Virginia's regions, the Central and Eastern Virginia region's large minority, veteran, and student populations with launching and operating successful, socially responsible ventures.
Thank you for all that information. It was so helpful. So my next question is, what makes this program different from other like surrounding programs or like surrounding schools who have similar programs?
Sure. I really think that one of the things that you have here is a really comprehensive program. I really did some benchmarking before I started this program, and I looked at what types of entrepreneurship programs were offered at colleges and universities of variant sizes all across the country, and tried to come up with a curriculum that included the basics, but then that also gave students some abilities to specialize in areas that minorities in particular, or to study in areas that minorities in particular could benefit from. My own research shows that minority entrepreneurs are disproportionately inclined to engage in entrepreneurship that has a social purpose. And with that being the case, and we've got a really wonderful social entrepreneurship course. And then one of the other things that I wanted to do is to offer a really good minority entrepreneurship course. There are actually, believe it or not, in 2021, now very few minority entrepreneurship courses in the entire country. And so what I did is I looked at the few that existed. I knew that there were some that were offered at Harvard and a few other institutions. I believe even at Rutgers, where I was a fellow for the Center for Urban Entrepreneurship and Economic Development, that we had an emphasis on minority entrepreneurship too. But I developed this comprehensive course that's both a historical course and a contemporary course that really goes over the evolution of minority entrepreneurship and the role that it has played in the economic development of the African-American community. And so it's a very interesting course where you can really look at how minority entrepreneurship was really flourishing prior to integration and the civil rights movement, and how when we began to diffuse our efforts across our economy and had access to more educational opportunities, then believe it or not, that our entrepreneurship rate began to decline, and the scale and impact of our businesses also began to wane. And so I'd really like us to be inspired to revisit utilizing the higher levels of education that we've been able to achieve in order for us to diffuse more wealth across our community once again.
Yes, I do believe that our end goal should be, just generational wealth for our Black communities.
So one other thing I want to mention to you too, though, is that there's a really good, very practical tool that I developed that we offer. I actually developed it as part of my consulting firm, but we use it in my training for the students in the Center for Entrepreneurship programs, and even in some of the training that we've offered for some high school scholars and the Thurgood Marshall College Fund. There's a Fleischer program that they offer. I have a really good template that is called I call it a business feasibility launch PowerPoint template. And what it does is it really is this comprehensive but yet condensed way for any entrepreneur to really look at what their business model is, to work on developing a clear, succinct business model, clearly identify and quantify their target customers, identify the ideal marketing venues and distribution avenues that they should pursue, and then even develop real financial statements, including an operating expenses worksheet, a cost of goods sold worksheet, and even ultimately a profit and loss statement to understand the potential revenues that their business can generate before they launch it. And so that's a really, really good tool that a lot of the programs that exist don't utilize. They often just jump right into a launch-oriented business plan that they put students into when students have really not effectively assessed the feasibility, the size of the market, the likelihood of success of their product before they start a business. So that's one really good thing, I think, that's a foundational part of our entrepreneurship educational program.
Thank you. Thank you. So would you say that's your company's biggest success? But if not, what would you consider your company's biggest success?
Honestly, I think that the biggest success is probably just inspiring our students. I think that we'll evolve where we have more metrics, when we actually will say we have facilitated the launch of this number of businesses in these regions of Virginia and the US. And so that's something that we're going to get to. And we'll do a lot more of that when we conduct some surveys and some post-participation sort of research. But right now we have we're on the cusp of having our first full cohort, students who've been able to be some of our first students to graduate with the minor in entrepreneurship. And I think that we'll be able to have some more practical metrics. But I say our biggest successes now, I think, would be just launching all of our educational programs, inspiring our students, and then even developing this Tools for Entrepreneurs page, which is extremely useful for people. It's a very practical, non-fluff, just a bunch of social media posts, but just a real practical thing that can help businesses that are really interested in pursuing a business find the resources that they need to do so.
That is amazing. So my next question for you is, what obstacles have you faced like launching this program for the students?
Well, I think it's the same sort of thing that probably minority institutions, HBCUs in particular, and minority businesses experience when they enter the market, and that funding opportunities that are either specifically geared or that end up making their way to us have sometimes been few and far between. And so, obtaining the funding that is commensurate with the level of quality that I think that we have has been a challenge. I think that there are misconceptions about capability for implementation and funding that plague our society when you're dealing with minority businesses, and I think that has indirectly impacted our ability to achieve funding. But that doesn't just stop me from pursuing it. I've got a real practical background myself, in that I went to my undergraduate degrees from University of Virginia, my PhDs from Rutgers, and I also worked in corporate America for about 10 years before in marketing and advertising, and I helped develop marketing strategies and advertising plans for the success of small businesses, actually, and some medium and large size businesses too, in the Hampton Roads market for the largest newspaper in the state of Virginia. And so I think that background helps me to be tenacious, and it gives me both the practical and the theoretical background that would allow me to pursue funding programs and justify the quality that we have. But I think that I would say that achieving the type of funding that we should get based on the sort of things that we do and have the capability to do has been somewhat of a challenge. But That's okay. We've got a wonderful group of students and a diligent, committed group of advisors that are part of the College of Business and the university that are supportive of our efforts. And so I anticipate that will change. One thing that I have noticed is that we've had some of our individual entrepreneurs and all our alumni who are just in business and corporate America who've been very successful, who have been extremely supportive in giving back themselves. We have launched a new entrepreneurship fund that was sponsored by one of our recently graduated students who works now for Deloitte. She was a very good student when she was here. And we've got the Sanders Entrepreneurship Fund, where we will be able to have a pitch competition annually that's directly funded by one of our young alumni or alumnus. And I'm just excited about that. So I think that if we have kind of that groundswell of support and can get more funding like that, that will buffer us until we are able to get more of the traditional grant funding and corporate funding that I think a program like ours warrants.
That is great to hear that we have all these alumni or alumni helping out and just giving back to the people that helped them become who they are today. So my next question is, what advice would you give prospective student entrepreneurs?
I would actually give them the advice to focus right now on ensuring that they have good GPAs and that they are diligent and organized and professional in everything that they do. I think that that's something that's really important for business students in particular and students overall. Learning how to effectively communicate both orally and in writing, learning how to become organized when you're in college, learning how to strategize how you're going to utilize your time effectively and your resources in order for you to achieve your goal. All of those are very practical things that will help you both in life and as an entrepreneur. And then I would say to really, really utilize the entrepreneurship program that we have to give you all of these inspirational resources that you'll be able to access in the future. I know that when I was in college, I started the first Black student newspaper at UVA. And one of the things that I did when I was there is I did not have a business background, like a lot of our students get the benefit from. But I was forced because we decided we were not going to get student activity funding just because they limited your mention of any religion of any sort in the publication. And that would not have sat well with really the minority or African American community. We've got variant religious groups that were large, successful, and high membership organizations in it. And we just decided that we were going to have to raise our own money. And that made it so I had to develop a business plan and advertising strategy and come up with advertising rates and go out and hit the streets and hire students to volunteer and do all these sorts of things and essentially run a business for what would be considered a nonprofit organization while I was in college. And so that experience was so wonderful, and it really kind of helped me acquire skills and utilize skills I learned from my education, but also to implement skills that have gone with me for the rest of my life, and really in every area of my life. Those were foundational skills, and I think that's what students should see their college education as. And so if you have the opportunity to be in a college of business, which is a wonderful program, all of our majors are wonderful, and all of our majors and the rest of the university are wonderful too. But if you even have the opportunity to be in an entrepreneurship program, then you should take the resources that you get from all of those sources, and you should figure out a way for you to bank them for future use if you don't intend to start a business right now, or figure out how you can utilize what you're getting from all of your courses right now in order for you to launch a successful business. I also think you should take advantage of all of the networking opportunities that we make available to you in the College of Business, and even take advantage of our career planning office, which is a really active office in trying to identify opportunities for our students. Because a lot of what I also learned that made it so I had a successful business, I've neglected to mention that, is that After I worked for 10 years in corporate, I ran a successful business. I was in real estate for during the years of the height of the real estate market, really all the way up into 2007. And within my first 3 years of operation, I was in the top 5% of real estate teams in the Hampton Roads market, and was the sales rookie of the year, and in the top 50 for the largest company, and had some employees working for me and those sorts of things. I was very, very, very fortunate prior to the real estate market crash. And I think that all of the things that I learned when I worked in corporate were things that made it so I was also very successful in my business. And so I think that students need to see their life, their education, their first job as just a pathway for them to collect all of these resources. I know you guys like playing video games. Where one of my sons likes playing Sonic, and they have all these rings that he's always wanted to accumulate when he's playing that game. And so I think that you guys should think of your whole life, but particularly your college education and your first job, is really this way for you to collect all of these rings that you'll be able to use later on when you want to blow something up, like blow your business up. That's kind of what Sonic does, right? And so
Yeah.
I think that that's what you guys want to you should see your education and your career pathway, your networking opportunities as.
Thank you. That is so true. It's always good to have as many things under your belt to help you succeed in life. So
Sure.
we are at my last question. And my last question is, what advice would you give other minorities entrepreneurs trying to make it in the business, I guess?
I would say be tenacious, have faith. I always think you should have faith in your abilities and yourself, in God. I know that helps me, so that you're not discouraged to give up. Because every business, minority, non-minority, in the first 1 to 3 years of operation, I mentioned this, is most inclined to fail. That's just based on the data. So what that means is that there are going to be some financial challenges, there are going to be some resource challenges, there are going to be some establishment challenges in terms of establishing clearly who your target market is, clarifying your business model, developing your initial strategy, all those sorts of things. And so what I would say is that you don't want to give up. And then in addition to not giving up, you need to have a really substantive base. So you don't want to just go to all these networking events and just listen to all these speakers, or even just start a business without having garnered any educational resources to buffer your efforts, because those educational resources can ensure that what you're doing are tried and true strategies that are inclined to succeed. And so you kind of want to have this dual focus where both the practical and the theoretical frame your efforts so that you can be as successful as possible. And then I also want to encourage you in terms of funding, in that you want to make sure, especially as a young entrepreneur, that you don't do things to adversely impact your credit when you're starting out. All the research shows, basic Census Bureau and Bureau of Labor Statistics data, actually in particular, show that the wealth levels of when we say wealth, what we mean are net worth, and what they do is they look at several different indicators, but essentially the wealth levels, I'm just kind of lumping everything together, of African Americans in particular is lower than the wealth levels of most other groups. Kind of teeters back and forth between Hispanics and African Americans, but the simple fact of the matter is that we have had a legacy of a lack of the ability even to pass down intergenerational wealth because of slavery, and then you had a whole several years of Jim Crow, and then you've got redlining that reduced home values. And then we've had also even explicit and even into the 20th century and 21st century implicit discrimination that has limited our ability to obtain financing that is commensurate with even the credit levels that we do possess. There is actually a significant body of academic research that shows that even African Americans with comparable credit and income or assets of their white counterparts have not historically received comparable funding offers. So I think that you just want to not be discouraged by that. And what you want to do is continue to build your credit and then your business success portfolio, and then even your educational success portfolio. And all of those things collectively can facilitate you obtaining funding. If you're pursuing funding either from a venture capitalist or from a banking or some other financial institution. I also think that you want to think of some innovative ways to fund. We call bootstrapping, essentially you self-funding your entrepreneurship. So you can really think of ways for you to use your income from a successful career in corporate America to fund your entrepreneurship. That's actually what I did. I used some of my 401k when I decided to leave corporate America to launch my business. And I was very fortunate because at that point I had kind of collected all of these rings, right? Experience in college degrees, or college degrees. At the time, I had a master's degree that I'd actually received from Region in Business also after I received my undergraduate from UVA and before I received my PhD. And then I had worked in corporate, gained all this experience there. And then I had all these rings that I could use to blow up my company, right? And so I think that, you need to make sure that you, again, focus on that pattern of utilizing all the resources that you have in order for you to be successful, and know that you can self-fund if you can't get funding from other sources. And then you could even think of ways to get support from your family and friends and from other friendly investors who won't have perhaps negative stereotypes about your capabilities to succeed that could facilitate your business success. So just be encouraged, don't give up, use all your resources. And I believe that and education is a really important resource. Never let anyone tell you that, oh, you should just start your business and drop out of college. You should finish college and start your business, even if you're doing them simultaneously, because they will both complement each other in the long run.
Yes, that is so true. And thank you for all this valuable information. I'm pretty sure the people who watch this, the viewers, they're going to enjoy all this information that was given to them and really utilize it in their future business endeavors. So thank you for that, and thank you for your time.
Thank you for your interview. I appreciate this.
You're welcome.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.